Hello, everyone. This is episode 11 of Here Comes the Pitch, a podcast about pitching story ideas. I'm your host, Derk Harron, and in today's episode, I will be pitching a dark comedy called The Helper to my guest, Brad Duwire. I would compare this story to the movies Fargo and A Simple Plan. Well, without further ado, here comes the pitch.
When I was at MCC, I took a screenwriting class, and I had started this screenplay, and I only got like about, I'd say like 25, 26 pages in. It was just pretty much the first act of it, and it was based off of like sort of autobiographical, but like it goes into fiction, but like it's also not so much fiction because it did take place. I just wasn't completely a part of it. Yeah, and I know that it's pretty cryptic what I'm fucking trying to get at, but once I get into it, it's pretty interesting because all right, when I first started working for UPS, I didn't actually work necessarily in the building. I had found this like flyer about that you could be a driver helper. Yeah. Like where you just go out on the road with a driver for like 2 to 3 weeks.
You like give him his drink and.
Yeah. Well, well, you're just help. I did a lot of that, but you just pretty much help deliver all these packages, like because they get so fucking swamped with packages that it's just like the trucks are fucking oozing packages, and so you're just like running it up to like each person's door and shit. So so like the flyer said that like that you could make like $1,000 in 3 weeks, and I was just like, fuck yeah, because I had been working like fast food for like 4 years, and then like I ended up just not showing up one day, and I was just like, I'm not fucking doing that anymore. So, and at that point, I kind of had a little bit of money because like my dad had recently died, and so we got some money from that, and so like I just didn't know what to fucking do, but like I was sort of athletic because I did play football like in high school and stuff, and so I was just like, but I was like out of shape, and I was like, oh, maybe I need to get some exercise, and like I could make money and get exercise. So I ended up calling this fucking number and setting up like it was like such a weird interview situation, and you just show up at the building, and then like it was weird. Like, it was just, like, 50 people there. And, like, some people were, like, dressed up in, like, suits and shit. And I was just, like, in fucking regular clothes because I was just like, well, I didn't expect it to be, like, a fucking real interview or anything. Like, I just thought that they'd just be like, all right, meet fucking this guy here. And that's basically what it was, but it was very strange. Like I said, I showed up in street clothes. They were just like, we're paying you $9 an hour, show up at this one spot. We'll do a quick lesson on how to use like the dyad, which is like this little miniature computer thing. And so I took the little class. It was like a half an hour long. I didn't even like learn anything from it. I was just like, this is way too fucking complicated. And I was just like, all right, I'll just fucking show up at this spot and then see what happens. And, like, I literally felt like I fell into a fucking movie. Because, like, they give you the clothes and shit, and you got the little tiny shorts on. Because, like all the pants had been gone by then. Yeah. And then, like, and the dude that fucking pulled up was, like, the most vulgar like tall dude. He looked like Hannibal from the A-Team, and he like had a cigar in his mouth and everything, and he was like fucking smoking a cigar while he's working and shit. And I'm just like, what is this guy? And like he just kind of blew me away, and like just how like in your face he was, and like just nothing was like taboo when it came to him. Like he was just like right off the bat, he was just like, "Are you married?" And and I was like 22, and he's just like, and I was like, "No," and he's like, "Fucking never get married, man." He was like, "I'm going through a divorce right now, but at least I was like fucking cheating on her, and I got this like this side piece that like I fucking love, and you'll see her later because like she works at this hair salon, and I put her through cosmetology school, and like while I was seeing my wife, and that was another thing too, is those guys like make so much money. It becomes their life because they're working like 10 to 12 hours doing this shit. But like, I think that it's also those dudes, like they end up getting so much money that they spend way more than they fucking think they have. And so they're all in debt and like dealing with divorces because they never see their fucking wives and shit. And so this guy, like, he's just so fucking mind-boggling that, like, I had to write a screenplay about this guy, and just going on the road with him. And then I found out about how he wanted to get back at his wife because, like, she got, like, a restraining order against him, and then, like, she was, like, holding all of his shit back at the house that he pays for, and, like, and he was just, like, and we, like, visited the house, and he's like, "I'm not even supposed to be, like, fucking 200 yards. I'm supposed to be 200 yards away from this fucking place. But I know she's not here, blah, blah, blah." He's like, "This is the only way I can see my fucking dogs." And,
was this all for your benefit? Like, he just wanted to explain everything that...
That's what he did. Like, he just, like,
otherwise, he would just be thinking about it, but he had somebody else there. He's like, "Look, I'm gonna fucking run you down when all this shit's going on."
Yeah, and then that was another thing, too, is that he told me this story about how he was setting up. He's like, "Dude, I got this fucking thing where I'm gonna, like, it's gonna be some Mission Impossible shit." He's like, "I've got, like, a computer specialist, I got a fucking locksmith, I got myself, and then, like, I got some other dude." And he's like, "We're gonna dress all in black on Christmas Eve. I know my wife's going to this Christmas Eve party. We're gonna bust into my fucking house, and we're gonna steal back my shit." And, like, he was telling me all this stuff, like, this incriminating stuff. And, like, I was just like, all right. Like, I don't know.
Did you say he had a computer guy?
Yeah, he was
What did he need a computer guy for?
I don't know. Like, there was, like, some weird fucking files that he was telling me about that, like, and stock options and stuff like that, where he needed all of the stuff that was, like, on his computer that was, like, being held by his wife. And, like, he was just like, "So I got a fucking computer guy, I got a locksmith guy." He's like, and then he's like, I don't know what kind of, security system she has. So, like, I think one of the guys was, like, a security system guy.
That was the other guy?
That was the other guy. Yeah. And so he's, like, telling me all this shit. And so, like, also, while going on the road, like, I kind of fell in love with this dude. Because, like, he was just so entertaining and, like, so over the top. And then, that I ended up, like, getting a job at UPS because I was just like, man, these if like all the other people that work there are as, like, strange and animated as this dude, like, or just like a third of this guy, then like it's probably pretty fun there. And it was, like, working there for as long as I did, and I did meet quite a few colorful people, just how strange, and, like, and I partied with those guys pretty hard, and, like, I was pretty into partying back then, and but what was so funny was that I think originally it was only supposed to be 2 weeks that I was supposed to go out on the road, but he ended up calling me after Christmas, and he was just like, I'm still fucking swamped, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you need to come back. He's like, I'll fucking set all that shit up again, and I'll make sure that, you know, you get paid well, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so I got to find out the aftermath of that break-in.
Oh.
And so he was, like, on the phone with his lawyer and shit, just, like, saying, like, you know, and his lawyer, like, he had it on speakerphone, so I was, like, hearing this shit, and the guy's just, like, you know, asking him, like, Art, his name was Art, all the hard questions, like, were you really there? And he was just like, oh, and he's like, don't tell me anything, and then, like, he's like, you're so fucked right now, but just play innocent, we'll figure this out, blah, 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 and, like... And then, like, I just remember, like, just because, you know, he was, like, a really tall, kind of, like, pudgy dude, like, beer gut, but, like, sort of kind of fit because of what he does.
Yeah.
And then just, like, seeing, like, the color coming out of his face, just like, oh, my God, what the fuck did I do? But, like, finding out that he went through with it. And so that's where kind of the screenplay played with it too, was that, like, I was just like, well, what if I was a part of this break-in? What have taken place? Like, maybe I was the lookout or something like that. Maybe one of the guys fell out of the job, got scared, and then, like, I kind of came up with this idea that it's all structured behind, like, that it's this, you know, the character, you know, still lives at his mom's house, which I wasn't really living with my mom at that time, but, like, I still kind of used the character of my mom. I, like, of course, made it, like, over the top.
Yeah.
But it was sort of like this, you know, dark comedy, and just the motivation behind the main character, which was based off of me, was that, like, he wanted to move out, and he was working at, like, as a waiter at this like local restaurant, and he had been doing it for a long time, but he was making okay money, but he wasn't making enough to, like, really move out. Plus, like, his mother was also dealing with the recent death of, like, her husband, and so, like, you know, she kind of had fallen into this whole, like, depression, and so he's like, how can I make, like, some extra money but still work at my job? And then getting the flyer from his best friend, and then his best friend, who's, like, this party guy that he, like, wants to move in with, and he kind of, like idolizes in a sense, because, like, he doesn't have to deal with the fucking drama of his like of his mother and all that stuff. And so the two of them go to, like, get this driver helping job, and then him also running into this Art character, and then finding out that, like, there's another motivation behind doing this job, because, like, he recently, like, broke up with a girlfriend that he thought was going to be which is kind of autobiographical, but, like, I didn't have, like, any kind of, like, love interest on the road, but, like, I thought that would be interesting, that's what, like, this Art character is, like, helping him with, was, like, kind of setting him up with a girl that's, like, sort of the same age as this dude, and that he deals with on a regular basis, you know, running his route. And so that's a way of like, them kind of connecting, was that, like, him helping him out with that. And then knowing about, finding out about, like, you know, his father's situation and his mother's situation, and then, like, seeing that, like, that this dude needs some extra money, and then, like, ends up offering him, like, you know, like, you don't have to do anything really incriminating, like, all you're doing is just looking out, blah, blah, blah. And that's basically where I had the story. Like, I I didn't. There was a lot of different renditions of like how it would all play out. I almost thought like maybe there ends up being 2 break-ins where like they do the first break-in successful, but then like also now he has to like pay for this lawyer, and so like he knows about this other house that like is on his route, that he's just like, we could just steal this one item and then like we would be totally good. Yeah. And like, and so someone like that, and of course everything goes awry, and so there was that idea, but I don't know. I just, especially like all the strange characters that I met out on the road, and like the people that he knew, and how he was like had all these connections, and then like one time we went into like this like gun store, and this guy was so fucking strange, and just like the back and forth between these 2 guys of like, we walked in, and this was right in the screenplay, because it took place where we walk in and there's like nobody in this fucking store. Like there's all these guns, nobody's in the store, and so like I just remember Art being like, "Where the fuck are you? You jerking off in the back?" And like, and the dude's just like, "Oh, you caught me red-handed," and blah blah blah, and like just their back and forth where I was just like, "Wow, that's so fucking weird." And then like finding out that guy was like sort of racist, like there was this huge Confederate flag in there, and like, and then just like I had long hair back then, and I was in a ponytail, and like just how he was like treating me and stuff, and like, and then like I thought like, wow, that would be great if that guy was a part of like the whole Mission Impossible ploy to fucking steal all this shit.
Well, that would
be
the security guy, right?
Yeah. I guess because he would be the guy with the guns, and of course, like when guns are involved, shit happens, and terrible shit. So like I had like I wanted to kind of capture like a vibe of like Fargo, but it's also kind of like almost like a buddy movie, but also like a father-son movie too, where here's like this character that he kind of looks up to, because he's like filling in that void of like the father that he recently lost, and I don't know, man, like I don't know how you would end that, because
well, it seems like it's still kind of nebulous as to what's on the computer and stuff. It's like it could either like stay nebulous, and then you could figure out like towards the end it's either, I mean you could go pretty dark with it.
Yeah.
Or you totally flipped where this guy's kind of like a lovable fucking loudmouth,
right.
To where he's like fucking a real creep.
Yeah. It could almost go where he's like sort of like a pedophile, like maybe he has like all this like incriminating shit on this computer. I could see that going that way. Just like also meeting his like girlfriend too, and then like because I ended up working with that guy at that building, and then finding out how that relationship fell apart, and like how he was just like told me about her sons, and how like they were like these like total losers that like still lived at home and like just play video games all day, and then like they would like fucking smoke crack, and like his wife, their own mother didn't care, and she was like this nudist that would like walk around the house completely nude, like in front of like these 2 like fucking 20-year-old kids, and they were just like, "Mom, like we need more fucking
crack."
Yeah, more crack and pizza, and like, and he was like, and I lived on the fucking couch for a while, like dealing with all that shit, and like I was just like, what the fuck, man? And then later on, he told me he was just like, I should have never got involved with that girl. I should have just like stayed with my wife, and like, like things would have just been so much better. Like what a if I wasn't so tempted by the poo-tang and stuff like that, where he would just say like crazy shit like that. And then it was sad because like, that guy partied a lot, drank a lot, and then he ended up having a stroke, and like he just wasn't the same after that. He was kind of like he got rehabilitated and actually came back to work, but he couldn't be a driver anymore. He couldn't really drive. he was very slurry with like how he spoke, and then like it was just kind of sad. He just recently retired, actually, finding out from some of my ex-coworkers and stuff. But yeah, just such a strange dude, and like I so I could see that where like maybe he is like a pedophile.
You could do it like that, or it could be even more. He's like involved in way more like criminal activity, like some kind of mafia thing or something.
Interesting. I could see that.
Not necessarily like he's dealing with them, not necessarily part of the mafia.
Right.
It doesn't sound like a delivery driver would be in the mafia.
Well, he could be like kind of an inside guy.
Yeah, that's what
where like he's like delivering product that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That would be
that.
good. Like delivering drugs via the fucking
UPS.
The UPS and stuff.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool cover up. And then like he's already making pretty good money like working at UPS, but like he's definitely getting more on the side from that. That's interesting. I never even thought of that. I also kind of thought, kind of lost my thought, like his train of thought, because I thought that was really fucking good, actually. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I also thought like this Mission Impossible group, like I don't know, those could be mafia related characters, or like there's the sort of racist Confederate dude.
No, I think
he is racist, but
if you're doing that, like I think it'd be better if it wasn't. It was just like whatever characters he had around him. Like he needs to pull this job off, but like maybe there's something incriminating that he would get fucking killed for. If it was on the computer, or
maybe like some records.
Yeah, maybe some kind of records, or he just like fell into something. I don't have anything solid, but
yeah, but no, this is good. Like like once again, this is what the show is. Like I usually with my pitches, like this is a little different because it's something that like I worked on like 11 years ago, but and then now I'm finally coming back to it. I thought I had fucking lost the screenplay, and then I was like I was going through like I never fucking delete my emails, and so like I had like like fucking 3,000 emails, and I'm like trying to go through it and shit, and like I was looking at because I was putting in this like in search, and I was just like keywords, and then I finally found it, and then I read it, and I was like, it's not too bad. And I remember my teacher too. He was like, I think you got something here. He's like, but you need to figure out what the tone of this movie is. Because he was just like, I see what you're getting at, that it is like very comedic driven, and this character is so over the top, but like you need to like figure out like what genre it is. But I like movies where they play with multiple genres, and that's why I kind of go back to like a Coen Brothers movie with Fargo, where it's kind of like this fake true crime story with like just these colorful characters that are they're comedic in the sense that just how over the top and with the accents and everything, and but and then of course their writing, like they have such great one-liners and stuff like that in all their movies. So I was shooting for something like that, but then I also thought like Mission Impossible, like a heist film where it's almost like so I just like it when there's like a bunch of genres that you're kind of playing with. So when he kind of said that, I was like, that's not really what I'm going for. Like I want it to be a lot of things, but then
I like the idea of like kind of like a redneck heist movie,
right? Because
what I mean, like there's nothing like super technological, and they're just like basic problems, but they put together this team to figure out these really basic problems of like, well, how do we get into this place?
Well, that's I haven't seen this movie yet, but like I, Tonya, I hear is a lot like that.
Oh yeah,
because they're like these fucking idiots. But they ended up doing some getting away for a bit. doing some terrible shit. And but that's kind of how I felt. But like, I also kind of wanted to be like where maybe the main character somehow gets away with it. Like maybe he doesn't get in trouble for it. Like, but how do you do that? Because even if he is kind of like a part of like some kind of heist, he's a part of it. Yeah. So I don't know. So that's the conundrum that I'm kind of in, where it's just like, but I also had like come up, because I do a lot of like I didn't write the screenplay, but I do a lot of outlines, and so one of the outlines that I did was like where they're on the run, and so like he ends up back at like a new restaurant doing the same thing that he does, but now he has to kind of like look over his shoulder, and I was just like, yeah, but that's kind of like a depressing ending. Yeah. And like, and then I see movies like, I don't know, did you see Get Out yet?
No, I haven't.
And like I found out that like, because the ending's good, but like I found out that there was, because I bought the Blu-ray, that there was like this alternate ending that they were originally going to go with.
That was way darker.
Darker.
I know. Yeah, I know. I can assume what the darker ending is.
Yeah. Okay. And
because I know more or less what it's about. I just haven't sat down with it yet.
Yeah, and I just remember, Blumhouse does those movies, and I remember Jason Blum, the producer of it. He was just like, I love this fucking movie, but you need to change the ending. It's too depressing. Yeah. And it needs to be kind of like a little bit more upbeat. Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, that's kind of what I want. Like, cause like, it doesn't matter if it's kind of like, that's not realistic, but at least you're leaving on like a happier note, you know? And then like but that's also another thing, is that you need the audience to like believe in it. Like you need to have that moment where they're just like, yeah, even though all this fucking crazy and horrible shit just took place, and then there's cheering at the end. Yeah. And it's tough to do that. Yeah. And I admire how he fucking was able to do that. But yeah, man. So that's where I'm like, I've got to figure this out. Where, how do I end this third act? How do I get out of? Because, yeah, this guy has gone down. Because like there was another part in the outline that I had written where his mother gets sick. She ends up like having like a heart attack or something happens. So then it's just like just another thing that like now he's worrying about that, and like how am I gonna fucking get the money to like fucking pay for this? And then that's what puts that pressure on him to do this heist. Was that like, well, I need more money than fucking $1,000 to like make sure that my mom is okay, so that I can make that leap. Yeah. And be on my own. Yeah. And so, and I thought that was a great way to like make him have to go down that dark path. Yeah. But I don't know. maybe it is like with Fargo, where this guy that thinks that he's doing something that isn't that terrible ends up being very terrible, and then he ends up getting caught in. Yeah. So I don't know. But it's making you think.
I'm sure. Well, it's like you have to figure out the specifics of like what exactly they're stealing and stuff.
That's true.
Because I'm sure there's some way to end it where like the ill-gotten gains or whatever like help the main character. And like, I mean, maybe at some point you figure out the other like characters are worse than they appeared. And then that makes the main character less.
Yeah, it makes him.
It elevates him from the other people that are doing this heist and stuff.
Right, and it shows how innocent he is. And in the, I guess like in what is going on. Yeah. But and then maybe I don't know. Maybe it does where like it goes bad. You know, they scatter, and then like he ends up like making kind of like a plea deal where, you know, he turns in the other guys. But I don't know. That's another kind of sort of depressing way to end
it is, because like nobody likes a narc.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's surprising because like look at the movie Goodfellas, where he ends up being a narc, but that's still a great fucking movie. But it's the whole journey till he gets there, and then like finding like just how fucking bad off he is, and then the only way to get out of it is to be a narc. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, man. We don't have to answer this. It was all just like that's another thing about this show is just kind of getting it out in the open, discussing it. Like you came up with some great fucking ideas. Like I didn't even think of the mobster idea of it, or just the thought of like the specifics of like what are they stealing, what are they trying to cover up, who knows? Yeah. So yeah, man. I think that this was a good episode. I really enjoy like the back and forth that we did. And,
no, I like workshopping stuff.
Yeah, and that's what the show is. So, well, thanks for listening, guys. I think that's where we're gonna end it. Brad, do you have anything you want to plug?
No, I'm still working on this 8-man comic that I've been doing. You can, if you just Google Brad Duwire or 8-Men of the Apocalypse, you'll find it on Google somewhere.
Yeah, I've actually been reading this series like on your website as well. But you know, I want it in hand too. So, well, thanks for listening to Here Comes the Pitch. The next episode, Brad's coming back and he's going to pitch me a story idea. So, all right. Hopefully you'll tune into that. Thank you. And that's it.